You know, from flickering campfires to the little glowing screens in our hands, ghost stories they're a core part of American culture. They're thrilling, they're chilling, and man, do they stick with us. But have you ever really stopped to wonder why? Why do these tales have such a powerful grip on our imagination? Well, let's dive in and find out.
So what is it really about a good ghost story that just pulls us in? Is it just that we love a good scare? Or is there something, deeper going on beneath the surface? That's the big question we're going to tackle today. We're looking at the tales, the psychology, and the culture behind America's most famous phantoms.
All right, to start, let's get our feet on the ground. Or maybe I should say, on the haunted ground. We're going on a quick tour of some of the most famously haunted spots across the United States. These are places where history and folklore have gotten so tangled up, it's pretty hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. Our journey kicks off in San Jose, California, at this sprawling architectural oddity. I mean, the Winchester Mystery House isn't just a home, it's like a puzzle box made of wood and nails. And its story, it's all about grief, guilt, and maybe, just maybe, ghosts.
So the legend here is just incredible. It's a story of pure obsession. Sarah Winchester, who was the heiress to the Winchester rifle fortune, was supposedly told by a medium that she had to keep building her house, we're talking 24/7, to appease the spirits of everyone killed by her family's invention. And the result is this physical manifestation of one woman's grief. It's a sprawling maze of just nonsensical construction. You've got stairways that lead to nowhere, doors that open onto steep drops. The story goes it was all designed to trap and confuse the ghosts that were haunting her conscience.
Okay, so from that very private, personal haunting, our tour is now taking us to a much more public one. We're heading to Philadelphia, to the crumbling Gothic fortress that is Eastern State Penitentiary. This place was actually designed to inspire penitence, but a lot of people believe it only inspired a kind of terror that has lingered long, long after it closed its doors.
You see, Eastern State was revolutionary at the time. It championed this system of total, silent isolation that was supposed to reform criminals. But this grand experiment often just drove inmates to madness. Today, visitors, paranormal investigators, they all report things that feel like a direct echo of that suffering. Shadowy figures darting down corridors, ghostly wails coming from empty cells. It's almost as if the profound misery experienced inside these walls left a permanent stain on the place itself.
For our last stop, we're heading down to the heart of the French Quarter in New Orleans, a city that is absolutely steeped in folklore. Behind the really elegant facade of the La Laurie Mansion lies one of the most gruesome and deeply disturbing stories in all of American history. Back in the 1830s, a fire accidentally exposed a horrific secret, Madame Delphine Laurie's hidden torture chamber, where she inflicted just unimaginable cruelty on the people she enslaved. Now this isn't just a ghost story, it's a brutal, necessary reminder of the horrors of slavery. The legend insists that the tormented spirits of her victims have never left, their cries a permanent echo in a house that was built on suffering. This tale persists not just to scare people, but to make sure that a dark chapter of history is never ever forgotten.
Okay, so those stories are powerful. They're disturbing and they are unforgettable. But now we have to ask the big question. When people report seeing or hearing things in these places, what's actually happening? Let's pivot from the folklore to the psychology and explore some of the science behind belief.
Let's break this down. Think you saw a face in the shadows? Well, that could be something called pareidolia. Our brains are hardwired to find familiar patterns, especially faces, in random shapes. It's why we see animals in clouds. What about that creepy feeling of a presence in the room? That might actually be caused by infrasound. These are low-frequency sound waves that are below our normal hearing range, but they can cause physical sensations like anxiety and dread. And those ghostly voices on a recording? Turns out our brains are just as good at finding patterns in sound, which is called auditory pareidolia.
And this all ties into a really crucial concept called confirmation bias. Basically, if you walk into a house already believing it's haunted, your brain is going to actively help you find proof. You're far more likely to interpret every creak of the floorboards, every cold draft, as paranormal evidence because it confirms what you already suspect is true. It's a really powerful filter for how we experience the world around us.
So if we have all these potential psychological explanations, why are ghost stories more popular today than ever? The truth is, the way we tell these stories has totally evolved. It's moved from the fireside to the internet, creating this massive digital ecosystem for folklore to thrive in.
And just to give you a sense of the scale here, a quick search for American folklore
will turn up over 50 major online hubs. And believe me, that is just scratching the surface. There are thousands of websites, podcasts, and communities, all dedicated to discussing and dissecting American hauntings.
The classic campfire has totally gone digital. Instead of leaning in to hear a whispered tale, we're tuning into paranormal podcasts on our commute. We're scrolling through spooky story websites late at night, and we're joining online communities to share our own experiences. The technology has changed, for sure, but that fundamental human desire to share these stories, it remains as strong as it ever was. Which brings us right back to our original question. We've looked at the legends, we've touched on the psychology, we've seen the modern platforms. So what's the final verdict? Why do these stories continue to have such a powerful hold on us?
When you get right down to it, ghost stories serve a much deeper purpose. They give us a safe, controlled way to confront our biggest fear, death and the great unknown. They act as these informal archives, preserving local history and cautionary tales that might otherwise be totally forgotten. Sharing them builds a real sense of community. And, in a world that feels increasingly explained and all mapped out, they inject a much-needed dose of wonder and mystery back into our lives.
I think this idea sums it up perfectly. Ghost stories are the history we can't quite prove, but we also can't quite forget. They live in that fascinating gray area between fact and fiction, history and legend. They represent the parts of our past that are too important or too tragic or just too strange to let go of, even if they don't fit neatly into a textbook. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you hear a bump in the night or you listen to a local legend, I want you to consider what you're really hearing. Is it just a spooky tale designed to make you jump? Or could it be the faint, lingering echo of history, asking to be remembered?